to another Stronger Than My Excuses Giving Strength show, Bullying in Secondary School. My name is Kate Russell and I am a leadership and team coach, and I'm going to be your host for the show today. Today we're discussing bullying with a focus on support for senior high school students. And with me today is my co-host, Dave Tabane. He's an international athlete, speaker and author of Powerman books on bullying. Welcome, Dave.
Hey Kate, thanks for having me here, and I'm excited for what we're going on today. Now, our aim is to find out why bullying is so rampant in schools and what actions or ideas the students could use to begin to move towards a better outcome. Now, before we go any further, if you do have any urgent issues, please call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Over to you, Kate.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dave. So look, all five of us are going to be responding to the questions that I'm going to be asking today. And while today is focused on bullying for teens, Stronger Than My Excuses Giving Strength hopes to bring more episodes covering many other issues around bullying in the future. Dave, can you please introduce our three special guests for the panel today?
I sure can. And so first up, we have Lily Gabe, which is a positive culture coaching expert. How you doing, Lily?
Hey, hi everyone. Good morning.
Thanks for being with us today. And next up, we have Carmen Finn, who is the owner solutionist at Your Virtual Solution and prime victim of bullying. How you doing, Carmen?
Hey, good. Thank you. How you going?
Good. Thanks for being on today. And third up, we have Teresa Butler, director and co-founder of the Bullying Revolution, psychologist, educator, and author. How you doing, Teresa?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for being here today. Now, welcome to the show, everyone. We've got a great show in store, and I'm excited to have you all on board.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Dave. So before we get started and asking questions, what I'd like to do is to acknowledge and thank the sponsors that you can see on your screen. In particular, thanks needs to go to Treetops Adventure Park Central Coast, who have generously offered their treehouse as a venue for their show. But unfortunately, we all needed to stay home. So the treehouse is empty, but we all hope that the students watching the show will head back there for some adventure very soon.
Yes, now a huge thanks to all those sponsors, and also thank you to our editor, Atlantic Studios, for making us all look great and putting this show together. So over to you, Kate. Let's get the show on the road.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave. So let's start with the question of the problem itself. Why do some kids bully others, and why are some kids bullied? And I'd also like to include in that, what does this do for the bullied kids' self-esteem? Carmen, I'm wondering if you could start with this. What's your experience been around bullying?
Yeah, definitely. So, when I was in high school, I was bullied quite a fair bit from cyberbullying back in the MySpace days, all the way up to, physical and mental abuse as well. It's pretty brutal. It caused a lot of problems with me later on in life, just with self-esteem, things like body dysmorphia, all those sorts of things, and just a few mental issues. It was pretty rough. Yeah, why do kids bully others? I think it comes down to three things. One, they're either threatened by you. Two, you're an easy target. Three, they're just a horrible person, and they just that's just their thing. They like doing that. That's pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, can I jump in there and say a few things as well on that? Because I really feel for you, because my experience of bullying was in the workplace. And it's so true. The people that bully, I think they're either, they're miserable themselves, so they pick on others to make themselves look better.
Yes.
Sometimes they want to belong to a group, so they think that if they bully, they're strong and they're cool and all that stuff. And of course that does a lot of damage to the self-esteem. I know that when I was bullied at work, I was actually, I lost my self-identity. My confidence was crushed, and it got me into a major depression, which took me a long time to recover from. So I can really,
How about you, Teresa?
I think it's a really complex question, and I don't think there's one single answer. there is so much research about risk factors, protective factors, resilience and vulnerability, personality traits, environmental factors that influence why someone becomes a victim of bullying and why others perpetrate bullying. But I actually think that bullying occurs because we allow it to. Society and humanity as a whole, because it's a global issue, we tolerate it, we accept it, we validate it, and in some parts of our society, especially now politically, we celebrate it. And I think that's why it actually continues. It's not a personal or an individual issue, it's a global issue, a societal issue.
Okay, fantastic. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So to back up Carmen with that is I do agree that hurt people. And, you know, a lot of people who come from a hurt situation or environment, or maybe a tough environment, then, you know, they're getting bullied themselves. Like people who do the bullying most likely are getting bullied themselves. In my own findings in going out to all these schools and writing all these books and all that kind of stuff. So what I found is like, it's due to their own insecurities, but instead of being vulnerable in that sense, they probably feel they can't be vulnerable. So then they go out and project it on other people and try and steal other people's confidence away from them. And that gives them a short-term gratification. It's a crazy thing. And I'm not sure if it could be ever stamped out, because you see it all through different nature. But the big thing is I talk about is with kids is trying to get kids to be open to apologize as fast as possible from the situation when they realize their actions are hurting someone. You know, that's a huge one to go beyond it. But it's a sad part of life. And, you know, to also back up what Teresa said, where it's also championed is, you know, I see it in politics every single day in Australia.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think from my perspective, working as a mediator, what I'd like to sort of add to what you've discussed is that I think that we need to separate the behaviour from the person, because I don't think anybody is born bad or is a bad person, but I think that their behaviour reflects a whole heap of pain that they're going through. And I think what I do is I tend to use language around bullying behaviour, because I think that when we refer to people as a bully or a victim, we are defining their personality and we're labelling them, and it doesn't help us resolve some of those issues. So I think it is really complex, and I think it reflects a huge amount of pain. I think that somebody engaged in bullying behaviour is hurting and they want somebody else to hurt, and so they find a target that's an easy target. I think that's really important. Let's move on to the second question, because I think this is also really important about what does a bully-free zone or a school or community look like? In other words, what will it do for someone when they can freely move around without the constant fear of being bullied? And is that possible? Lily, can we start you on this one?
For me, a bully-free zone is, it's great to have those, you know, posters which you see when you go to the schools. You see them stuck on the walls and in the cafeteria and stuff like that. And it means that when you see it, it means that you can be free to speak your truth, your opinions freely without being judged. However, though, what I've seen as well is even though you've got those signs up there and you've got policies around it, most schools or communities aren't actually following those. That's my belief. I'm not sure if you agree with me. And so there has to be a language around that and more responsibility as well from those people that are promoting those areas.
Thank you for that, Lily. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, so back up with what Lily mentioned is, you know, there's posters and all this kind of stuff and the ideals. And it's super important to teach kids to be aware of where their safe zones is, because some kids may need a safe zone at home. You know, it may like outside of school. Yes. And so teaching kids that it's not just within school that these safe zones can help them, but also outside of school. And, you know, lots of people their safe zone could be listening to music or something like that. It doesn't always have to be a physical place. It can be an action that they do, which can almost act like a bit of an escape for them. And I knew for me, it was training was my safe zone. That was my escape from everything. Yeah. So, so anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one.
Okay, no, that's great. How does that resonate with you, Carmen?
Yeah, to pretty much add on to what both Lily and Dave have said, yeah, on top of that, effective coping strategies. Definitely that's one thing to do. And also with the safe zones, not just like going to the library, finding a spot to essentially have time out with yourself and, do drawing or listen to music, listen to podcasts, all that sort of thing, just as long as they're healthy. I did go down a bit of a path where I was self-harming to cope with it. And then with the help of, counselling and whatnot, I went into, drawing, arts, cooking, putting it in walking, all that sort of thing, channeling it into that. I think another thing that would help would be to educate the teachers on how to effectively deal with it. Because you've got some teachers there and they do want to help, but, they don't want to cross a line, do something wrong that's going to, hinder helping. So I think education on how teachers can help would definitely help, because a lot of the teachers, they just didn't know how to handle it.
I really liked what Carmen said there about finding the creative outlook, because when I read this question, I took it as an opportunity to go to that creative place and think about solutions to problems that people often think are impossible. I hear that a lot when I present at conferences, that, I think we all know bullying is a problem that we can never eradicate completely. And I think, well, why not? Like, we just need to be more creative and think bigger than the individual issues. So in that then situation, we've also got more ownership and responsibility, because in my bullying-free world, behaviour that is learned can be unlearned in a non-threatening way. And so, like I think Dave was saying before, educating the kids to go, hey, your behaviour just hurt somebody, so let's fix that. But without those repercussions where the kids that are doing the behaviour then get resentful and continue to perpetuate it. So basically, I think that world without bullying would be a kinder and happier place. That's my ideal.
I love the idea of this not being an impossible situation, and that we can work this out. I find it really interesting. I do, as a mediator, and I've done a lot of workplace mediation around these things, and there's two words that come up as an issue pretty much in every dispute that I've ever done, and they are respect and communication. And communication always goes to respect. And I think that if we're going to have a bullying-free zone, I think that we've got to have an understanding about what respect means, because I can tell you it means different things to different people, but we don't often explore what does respect mean for you and what does it mean for me. We just use the word respect, and you should be respected, and there's this automatic, everybody has a right to be respected. But what does that look like, and what does it mean? And I also think that we say that we should be non-judgmental and we should be different, and we should be, but the problem is that we're not. We are naturally judgmental. It goes to tribalism, it goes to a whole range of learnings as we have as a child. We bring all of that to every situation. So it's about self-awareness. It's about knowing, I'm being judgmental here, what can we do to fix this? We've talked a little bit about a number of different issues, but what's an action or tool that can be used right now to help begin this process of changing the culture of bullying, and to help those who have been bullied to become more empowered? Teresa, could you start us on this one, please?
Sure. This one for me is about leading by example. People need upstanders. They need people who stand up with them and support them to find their voice. There's a phenomenon I'm sure we're all aware of called the Bystander Effect, where basically more people are standing around in a crisis situation, the less likely people are to intervene, because they think that everyone thinks that someone else is going to take action. But then when that one person stands up, other people are more likely to stand with them. So for me, this is about, on a daily basis, calling out bad taste jokes, not laughing along with them, saying when something's unkind, saying that's really unkind. And when someone says, oh, it's just a joke, you need to say, it's not funny for the person being joked about. And when people say, oh, you need to toughen up or get a sense of humour, I say to them, no, you need to be kinder. So I think, and there's this stuff about, judgment and political correctness. I think when people say, oh, you're being too PC, I usually say that what they call political correctness, I call respect. So that goes back to the respect topic. And there's a lot of victim blaming in bullying. It's everywhere. Everywhere is this expectation that people need to toughen up and get more resilient, when really everybody just needs to be kinder. So, and I think that the more we do this, it's a very hard thing to do to stand up, but the more you do it, the more uncomfortable you feel when you don't do it, because you know you're compromising your own values. And so then we end up sharing this contagion effect instead of the bystander effect, and we have better outcomes.
Yeah, no, look, I love that. That's great. Take action and be kinder. I think taking responsibility, we all need to personally take more responsibility for this. What do you think, Carmen?
Making people, I think, a little bit more aware, and yeah, I think that's probably the main thing, just making people a bit more aware, and kind of what's the right word, for lack of a better word, rejigging their mindset, and saying, instead of bullying, how about we talk about what's going on inside, like why are you wanting to do this, and deal with that, so to speak. That's definitely I think one thing. There's so many things that we could do. I think that's probably off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. What action would you take, Lily?
I guess I would teach, or get the kids out there in high schools and even people themselves in workplaces, is to self-manage, learn to self-manage themselves, and be aware of the language they use, the actions, the behaviors, because those things, if you use bad language, that can really affect other people around you. And if you use good language, it brings up that positivity, good feeling for those around you as well. So I think it's good to be on that level, on self-managing positivity as well.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Dave?
So two things is with the bully themselves is identifying these people that have this pattern of this recurring and getting them the help needed. So for school counseling and making school, like getting counseling, and then with the kids being the victim, so to say, is teaching kids that self-esteem is self, not given to you. So many kids get their self-esteem by their parents, their friends, their bully, all that sort of stuff. And the real trouble is when your inner voice changes from your own voice to what the bully is saying about you, then you believe it about yourself. So teaching kids about that, where that self-worth, that self-esteem comes from. And the way I do that is through talking at schools and all that kind of stuff, and sharing these stories that have the hindsight within them. So when the kids in school realize they're doing these behaviors, they can stop it there. Because a lot of the time, it's not just the wound, it's the infection that sets in over the years from that situation where, something could have happened at school that was over a one-day period, but then that person who had to can affect them for the rest of their life. So I like to talk about shortening the refractory period, getting the help needed to understand it happened to you, but this is how you want to respond to it. So you're not just keep continually reacting for the rest of your life. And that takes a lot of self-awareness, going inner within yourself. But if we can help the bully and go deep on themselves, you could say, get the help. So then they stop hurting people in that way. And then the person that happened to understand that was forced upon them from someone else, but you can choose how to respond to this. And who do you really want to be if you're unclear with in that situation, and help that person.
Make sure that we look at what's going on for the person. So if the person's engaged in bullying behaviour, what's the trigger behind that? And to care about that person. And if a person is being bullied and things are happening to them, what's going on for them as well? Because I often find that when there is conflict like this, that it is systemic. There are other things going on. We need to find out what's triggering the behaviour, because people don't behave in a negative way like this for no reason. And we need to explore that further. So the action that I would take is to use curiosity to make sure that we practice kindness and we look after people. Because I think that if we constantly punish people for behaving in a certain manner without taking care and looking after the person at the same time, we are going to basically set that person up to continue the behaviour, because if they think they're bad, then why change your behaviour if everybody's already judged you as being a bad person? So in wrapping this all up, what I'd like to do last of all is just to go around the group and ask you for your one word that's an action that viewers can take right now to move towards change, or actions that you might have suggested in that last question. What's your one word, Dave?
My one word is empowerment. Reading up on the definition of it and getting to understand that and how to reinstall it for yourself. And and understand the process of it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Lily, what's your one word?
Tolerance. I think we really need to be tolerant of each other's differences.
That's great. Thank you, Lily. How about you, Teresa?
My word is kindness. To me, kindness is not a state of being. It's not about being kind. It's a state of doing. So kindness is an action for me, not a trait. And I think it's the answer to almost everything.
Yes. How about you, Carmen?
My word would be to persevere. So for someone who is going through bullying, I know that it can be really hard, and you might not be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, I actually didn't think that I'd live past 18. I thought that I would have taken my own life well by now. I'm 27, so just to be able to persevere, it does get better. Yeah, it's hard work, but it does get better.
Thank you so much for sharing and for being so vulnerable. My word is care. I just think we need to care for people. We need to care for everybody, even when they're difficult to care for, even when they're difficult to love. Thank you so much, everybody, for your extraordinary input and discussion today. We hope to bring you plenty of future episodes on this topic to keep you informed. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
So guys, please ask any questions or leave any comments on the Stronger Than My Excuses social media sites. We're available to support you, and anyone you want to share the show to, please get it out to them because they might benefit from them. Now again, if you need any urgent support or help right now, please reach out to Lifeline on 13 11 14. So thank you again to our guests, Libby from Positive Culture Coaching, Carmen Finn from Your Virtual Solution, Teresa Butler from the Bullying Revolution. You guys are absolutely awesome.
And please thank my co-host, Dave Tabane from Dave Pow Tabane.
Let's give a round of applause for everyone here, and especially Kate Russell for leading us through today. You rock. Woo!
Thank you. Thanks.
Virtual round of applause. Huh?
That's awesome.
Well done, everyone.
Thanks again to Atlantic Studios, our virtual venue, to Treetops Adventure Park Central Coast at Wyong Creek, and to all our sponsors. We really appreciate you all supporting this very important issue. So thanks for watching.